In Bhagavad Gita, well, I had also shared the same aspect during my program in Sirifort Auditorium. I had given this introduction there also. Bhagavad Gita is a part of Mahabharata. Mahabharata, a larger epic of 8,800 shlokas, verses. Original 8,800 alone, which was later inflated, added on, and was surmounted to the tune of 100,000, 1 lakh shlokas. We are fortunate enough that we had Adiguru Shankaracharya. Had he not been there, Bhagavad Gita could never have been extricated. It was he alone who bequeathed upon us this endowment. He extricated those 700 verses out of 1 lakh. Before Adiguru Shankaracharya, there is no interpretation on Bhagavad Gita. You go on tracking. कुछ नहीं उससे पहले. आदिगुरु शंकराचार्य से पहले भगवद गीता का नाम लेवा नहीं है. नाम लेवा भी नहीं है. 1 लाख श्लोकों में घुटी दबी ये विज्ञान दबा हुआ था. आदिगुरु शंकराचार्य इसे उद्धृत नहीं करते, कभी भी जन सामान्य को यह प्राप्त नहीं हो सकती थी. उन्होंने इस पूरी मानव जाति के लिए बहुत बड़े कल्याण का कार्य किया है. जन सामान्य को उनकी वो थाती दी है, such an endowment which otherwise had eluded our notices. ये वही है जो रामचरितमानस या रामायण के साथ हुआ. And those times when the experiences of countless seers, they were compiled by Adikuru Vyas. Vyas Muni, he compiled it. The same shlokas, same observations. I am not repudiating a fact. I am not criticizing Gita kabhi hui ki nahi, Kurukshetra kabhi hua ki nahi, aise patra kabhi hue ki nahi. I am not getting into that. As a teacher, I am not supposed to get into all that. But as a teacher, what I rightly understand is it is a compilation drawn from Upanishads. It was already mentioned in Upanishads. It is therefore that almost after each chapter, in most of the Bhagavad Gita, it is printed, ऐसा उपनिषदों में, अथ उपनिषद, ऐसा उपनिषदों में गाया गया. ऐसा उपनिषदों में गाया गया. It's mostly mentioned after each chapter. पहले से शुरू होकर 18वें तक चले जाओ. उपनिषदों में पहले से ही पूरा का पूरा यथावत उपलब्ध है. And it was compiled, it was extricated by Vyas from Upanishad and then compiled in the form of Bhagavad Gita, which is a sub-chapter of a chapter in Mahabharata. And when I see this particular scripture, I see it as a manual of enablement. I take this word from modern understanding. I see it as a document of yogic psychology. Psychology is confined to mind, yet to indicate it to some branch, it's a compilation of yogic psychology. And in it, distinct personalities have been given different kinds of modules. And Karma Yoga is for those who day in, day out are engrossed into activity. रात दिन बहुत शोर है, रात दिन निर्णय लेना है, प्रिय अप्रिय दोनों, pleasant unpleasant सारे लेने हैं. Because when you are taking day in, day out pleasant and unpleasant decisions, it is bound to happen that you will have inner conflicts, inner dichotomies. At times you have inner guilts also. ऐसा हो जाता है. And Karma Yoga, for such a personality, for such a professional, if you rightly understand it and start practicing, practice is not easy. Everybody cannot become Ishridharan. He's a blessed soul. But yes, we can certainly strive. We can practice with failures. Because Gita is based upon a basic fundamental understanding that it reiterates again and again, Abhyas or Vairagya. Abhyas or Vairagya. Abhyas obviously means endeavor. Go on practicing it. Failures are going to come, not one or two, millions are going to come. Just don't thwart your endeavors. Go on, go on, go on. Don't get thwarted. Go on, just go on. And Vairagya. Vairagya does not mean to relinquish from necessary obligation. It means to consolidate your awareness and assign it to the dispensation of your mandatory obligations. To withdraw. Vairagya means to withdraw. If a scientist is not Vairagi, he cannot cherish in his pursuit. Had Ishridharan not been a Vairagi, he would never, ever would have been able to cherish the work culture which he has been able to do in this country. Just understand the kind of pressures this soul would have confronted. The adversity which was suffused all over. Just imagine about it. Had he been merry-going, partying, just partying and partying, partying, 6 o'clock after that, party time, he would have never been able to do that. It is only because Ishridharan was a Vairagi and stringent practitioner. In fact, I have always sought for it that he should, whenever I release Karma Yoga, if I get him to release that Karma book, I'll consider it blessed for million lives. If he comes to release my book, I'll consider myself as blessed for million lives. Such is the personality. Such is the human being within us. People like this who practice Karma Yoga within their normal dispensation of the duties become possessed with faculties which are not accessible to people in general. People in general. Is endurance not a potential inside? How many of us are able to endure our own pressures, our own conflicts, external pressures, external conflicts? Such people can endure. And to be able to endure adversity and yet steer with the prime pursuit which you have ascertained, given to yourself, is an ability which is a blissful one. It comes through Karma Yoga. The time has come. We have so many Karma Yogis around. Fortunately, we have one to associate and indicate by the name of Ishridharan, but we have many Karma Yogis spread all over in India. An unfortunate part is that Katrina is a news, but that is not a news. Such kind of a learning program are indicators. This particular program is an indicator for all those, not for everybody, but only for all those that believe that evolution is mandatory for a human being, indispensable, irreversible. And through dispensation of normal, ordinary, day-to-day acts, we can certainly claim the evolution within the same passage of life that we otherwise would simply erode. So, Karma Yoga, derived from the root Krit, action, and yoga to enjoin this limited self with that unlimited cosmic storehouse of knowledge, where lies countless intuits, is called as Karma Yoga. That's it. Vimalji. It's okay? See if the tea has come, so that we don't get disturbed with the furtherance of it. in Karma Yoga, before I come to this, I had shared one small story from Mahabharata in Sirifort Auditorium. Those who were there with me would recall I had given this small story, provided you were there on time. According to this small story, because if you go to the science of Bhagavad Gita, then you silently admit, not vehemently at all, silently. Because when you become more wise, you become more silent. When you become more wise, you become more accommodative. You unnecessarily don't want to thwart others' opinion. Huh? ठीक है. So, as I understand the science of Bhagavad Gita, primarily these are characters which great scientists of that time, they were not storytellers, they were not novelists. They wanted to elaborate and take the message to the masses, and therefore they took the help of allegory, metaphor and similes. उदाहरण लेकर के कहानी के माध्यम से समझाने की उन्होंने चेष्टा की थी. Even in Mahabharata, the characters that we have, let me take few names. I have already mentioned it in detail while interpreting the first chapter. Taking the first name from where the entire conflict starts, Dhrit, Rashtra. Rashtra means to govern. To govern. That means जहां मेरी सत्ता होनी चाहिए. And word Dhrit means by any chance, somehow, anyway, I want to govern. And if you're obstinate to govern, then whatever actions you will initiate upon will be blindfolded. अंधे होकर के काम करना. जिद है मेरी, मैंने ऐसे ही करना है. And if you are blessed with a wife who pioneers herself, offers herself to be equally blind, then the outcome of such a union is going to be dur. Dur in Sanskrit or Hindi is always for negativity. Yodhan means objective. Not Suyodhan. It is going to be dur Yodhan. If you are obstinate to govern, blindfolded, then your outcome is going to be demeaned objectives, demeaning objectives that are demeaned. And when you have dur yodhan, then obviously with demeaned, unmindful objectives, the rule of law is going to be du shasan, not su shasan. What is shasan? Governance. And what is du? Bad governance. Bad governance is du shasan. When you have demeaned, unmindful objectives born out of obstinacy to rule, obviously misgovernance is going to be the outcome of it. And when demeaned objective misgovern, they govern bad, the outcome of it is going to be 100 times bad. Because through act of procreation, one man and a lady cannot give birth to 100 children. Not easily beyond comprehension. It's not easily, one cannot comprehend that. But allegorically, yes, we can understand that. And it goes the same for almost all the characters. Almost all the characters. You go on with the Pandavas. Yudhishthira, the eldest one. Yudhi. Yudhi means the sky. Sthira. Sky is always stationary. encompassing all. It cannot change. It is what it is. It has no color. झूठ का वहां कोई स्थान ही नहीं है, क्योंकि आकाश जैसा है ऐसा है. You cannot change that. It is the eldest. All other elements, they are within the Yudhi Sthira, Yudhishthira. The next one, which we know generally as Bhim, but the actual name is Vrikodar. The name of Bhim, according to Bhagavad Gita and the Mahabharata, is Vrikodar. Vrik means fire. Udar means stomach. Udar, stomach. Vrik means fire. He is the one in whose stomach fire remains. जिसके पेट में अग्नि रहती है. किसके पेट में अग्नि रहती है? Recall that small experiment we used to do in the chemistry lab when we were in school. कैंडल जलाते थे और उस पर इन्वर्टेड बीकर रखते थे. 2 मिनट में कैंडल बुझ जाती थी और टीचर समझाता था जब तक ऑक्सीजन है कैंडल जलेगी, ऑक्सीजन खत्म कैंडल खत्म. तो किसके पेट में अग्नि जलती है? वायु के. तो who is being? Yeah. 1000 हाथियों का बल है. 1000 his enormity stretches down to 1000 elephants. As a human being, nobody can ever conceive of having a strength of 1000 elephants. But for the air, yes, not only 1000 elephants, when it comes to storms, tornadoes, oh my God, it can even go beyond. His name was Vrikodar. The third one, the most crucial one, is the most crucial one in the entire epic, is Arjuna, which means fire. The inflammable fire. You cannot extinguish it by anything. You cannot. उसको बुझाया नहीं जा सकता. ऐसी अग्नि जो सदा प्रदीप्त रहती है उसे आप बुझा नहीं सकते. And why is fire given prominence? Why does Krishna have a special bias for Arjuna? What is the need for that? The need for that is, number one, it is the first element which is visible to the human eye. You cannot see sky, you cannot see air. The first natural element out of Pancha Tattva which you are able to sight is the fire. And Arjuna is fire. Second property of the fire is anything that comes into contact of fire purifies itself. It purifies. Anything that comes into its contact it gets purified. पवित्रता को प्राप्त होती है. अग्नि दोषों को शमित कर देती है. अग्नि दोषों को जला देती है. अग्नि के द्वारा वनस्पतियों का, धातुओं का संशोधन होता है. That is fire. Thirdly, we have people from the power sector here. It is the energy. Anything and everything moves with energy. And fire is energy. It is therefore that there is a special bias in the entire epic for Arjuna. It is a special bias for energy. It is a special bias for the properties of the energy, because without energy, nothing is going to move. पवित्रता होगी नहीं. The fourth one is Nakul. Na kul. Na means water. A water which has no boundary, no limit, no shore. ऐसा जल जिसकी कोई सीमा नहीं है. Na kul. The fourth element. The fifth, Sah Dev. One that can absorb anything, assimilate anything. That is why we term it as Dharitri. One that can absorb everything, Dhara. सब कुछ धारण कर लेने वाली. Imbibe everything. Sah Dev is indication to the fifth element. And then we have the most critical one, which goes from ordinary comprehension even to according to the norms of the society today, to have a common wife for 5 males is beyond comprehension. So unwise for those great ancient seers to create a story of this kind, it appears. Great conflict. Now you will understand and endorse me. They were scientists, they were not novelists. With the given frame of understanding, we will study entire Karma Yoga. I am giving you the frame of understanding today. I am formatting the hard disk. Once the hard disk is formatted, then in accordance to that, the data is stored. 2 kids were born out of fire. What was the name of the kids? There were 2 kids, twins, almost twins, a girl and a boy. The name of the boy was Drupad. The name of the girl was Draupadi. What is Dhru Shabd used in Hindi for? Drut. Drut means fast. Lightning speed. Drut gati se. With a very fast speed and a lightning speed. That is Drut. Pad means to walk. Born out of the same fire, twins, feminine, male. Draupadi, one that travels at the speed of light. Draupadi. Now, what is Draupadi? It is the basic reservoir of the energy. Unless she awakens, unless she would charge, these 5 elements remain nonentity. And once she charges, all these 5 elements, their motor organs start activated. And where is it? Draupadi, according to the ancient Indian wisdom, modern science and modern anatomy is yet to comprehend and swallow this fact. She is that coiled force. Coil means kundal. That is why we call it as kundalini. It is coiled. That coiled force that shall propel after awakening all the 5 elements, the prime constituents of this mortal plane, is called as Draupadi. She's the one. So she is common to 5. According to the ordinary parlance, she is not the wife to 5 males. She is the common force. She is the objective to the 5 elements. Unless she arises by somehow, by any kind of yogic exercise, whatever, karma yoga, whatever. As I said, gathering awareness at the cerebrum, then ultimately opens according to ancient wisdom. See, Draupadi, in that sense, is the common force to 5 elements. And those 5 elements are brothers, sprung one out of the other. Akash se Vayu ki utpatti, Vayu ke gharshan se, this is science of evolution, we all know. Vayu ke gharshan se Agni ki utpatti, Vayu Agni ke संयोग से जल की उत्पत्ति, इन तीनों के संयोग से आकाश छोड़ के पृथ्वी की उत्पत्ति, the material plane. How does it matter constitute? This is the way it is done. Modern science, it withstands as testimony to it. It authenticates. This is how the matter is born. There is no sky, there is no air. There is no air, there cannot be a fire. The molecules of air, when they interact out of friction within the air molecules, fire is born. And the fire is everywhere. Agni kahan hai? Agni har jagah par hai. So likewise, we have to understand who is Kunti. She is the mother to 5 brothers. What does Kunti mean? Kunti means one who can invoke divinity. The word Kunti means one who can invoke divinity. She has been given two names. One is Pritha. Because of her Pritha name, Arjun is ascribed most of the time as Partha. Who is Pritha? Pritha means one who is a renunciant, Virakta, Vairagi. One who has disembarked, disengaged, disassociated from the delusion of identifying self to the mortal plane. That is called the renunciant. And she is Pritha. When she is with the first father, she is Pritha. When she goes to the second father, she graduates and becomes Kunti. Because if you are not a renunciant, you cannot invoke divinity. Ishridharan would never have been able to invoke divinity if he not had been a Parth. Being a Parth, he claimed his eligibility to invoke divinity and bestow upon him the stature which he has today, which is beyond ordinary comprehension of the eyes. Accordingly, all names which have been given to Krishna, we have to understand them categorically. Arjuna and Krishna, they have been given number of names. Even in Gita, there is not only one name given to Arjuna. Wherever, whatever sense has to be established, a name has been ascribed to him in accordance to that. Where it expects him to be ever vigilant, relentless, he has been called as Hey Gudakesh. Gudakesh means one who is sleepless, shall never sleep. One who shall never be dissuaded, Dhananjay. Parth, one who is a renunciant. So at different places he has been called by different name, and the same goes for even Krishna. As I conduct most of my workshops in Rishikesh, the first thing I do is to explain the meaning of Rishikesh. The word actually is Rishi, not Rishi. Since we can't pronounce it easily, for the sake of ordinary pronunciation, we have adopted Rishi. The word is Rishi. In any way, Rishik plus Ish. Ish means discipline, order. Rishik means sensory organs. Under whose command the sensory organs operate is called as Rishikesh. And that is the name which has been given to him at almost all the places. At few places he has been given different name. As Madhava. Ma means Prakriti, nature. Dhava, one who drives it. Madhava. That is the name given to him. One who drives the nature. Yes, the cosmic intelligence drives the nature. T again. T will have to wait now. Then I can't stop right now. Then we have to also understand. ठंडी तो नहीं हो जाएगी? किसमें है?
केटल्स में.
हैं?
केटल्स में.
वो गर्म रहने वाली चाय है ना? Then we have to understand something more which is more important before from the next time we go on to Karma Yoga. Entire Mahabharata or Bhagavad Gita has been, if I go not compiled, if I say written, okay, written, I'll accept it. For the sake of inspiring, instigating, inducing, motivating one warrior. Because Bhagavad Gita, according to the story, is merely confined to Arjuna. It doesn't appear to be a balanced act. How is it possible that India has an army, one of the general, he is dissuaded, he does not want to fight. You can't expect the Prime Minister, the President to confine to that one warrior and say, no, general, you'll have to fight. And right amidst the battlefield at the LOC, the general along with the President of India are now, the President is motivating him, giving him first the Vishad Yoga, then a Jnana Yoga, then a Karam Yoga, then Sannyasa Yoga, then a Bhakti Yoga, and so on and so forth. No, it's not possible. Then this war is different. These characters are different. What is the word war about? Where was it fought? It was fought at Kuru Kshetra. Kuru means it derived from which dhatu? Again the same karma. Kri. Action. What is Kshetra? Region. Region where action takes place. That is Kuru Kshetra. The region where action takes place is called as Kuru Kshetra. Now, the region where action takes place, which is that region? Going by Karma Yoga, that region is the dispensation of your normal obligation in office and at home. For a spiritual seeker, that Kurukshetra is slightly different. But you must understand, this entire compilation of 700 verses is targeted with one single objective. Arjun Gandiv Uthao. Arjun Gandiv Uthao. Gandiv means the bow. Arjun Gandiv Uthao, for that he has gone through all nitty-gritties of Gyan, Karma, Bhakti, Sannyas and everything. Which is that Gandiv? Why all this ruckus of going from pillar to post for a one Gandiv? What is that Gandiv? Here is something very crucial for us to understand. Gandiv means, when we started, I made a requisition before I started with Gayatri Mahamantra. I said, Kamar Siddhi. Kamar Siddhi means when you have to charge for any object, towards any objective, you have to be straightforward. And in the spiritual parlance, any seeker for any kind of a spiritual technique, it is mandatory that you have to be with your back straight. If you see the picture of a vertebra, the skeleton part of the vertebra, focus your eyes on it. It is just a bow, a replica of a bow. एक धनुष की भांति आपकी रीढ़ की हड्डी ढांचे में आपको प्रतीत होगी. And this is the Gandiv. This is the Gandiv upon which all these 18 chapters, all these verses have been attributed to. Arjuna of all times, because Arjuna is a timeless character, and so is the timeless divine intuit. And the need, the objective, the purpose of this entire Bhagavad Gita, a song sung in the glory of the Lord. Bhag means, we call Bhagavan, Buddhivan, Balvan. Bhag means affluence, where all entire affluence, it consolidates, that is called as Bhaga. The centrifugal point of all affluence, from where everything comes, that is Bhagavan. We have to understand what was behind, from where sprung these verses. They have been written in Akshara, not in Shabda. Shabd means where few letters they meet. Akshara means letters. Sanskrit has more than 2,000 roots. And these scriptures have been written while keeping letters into mind, not words. Akshara. What does mean Akshara? Kshara means something which will dismantle, decay, disengage, destroy. Akshara, something which is immutable. You cannot destroy it, you cannot dismantle, distort, decay it. And scriptures have been written in Akshara, and not in words. So therefore, to understand the intent of the scientist, we have to go to the end of Akshara, something which is immutable. And that is why we have two kinds of knowledge in India, namely Shruti and Smriti. Shruti means something which is immutable, shall never change. You cannot change H2O. You cannot make it H3O. water has to be H2O, almost immutable. And Smriti means the interpretation that we draw in accordance to the need of the hour. That is called as Smriti. In India, Smritis they have taken birth and they have died. And we don't bother for them. हजारों स्मृतियां जन्म लेके मर चुकी हैं. श्रुतियां अकाट्य हैं, कभी मरती नहीं है. And Shri Mother Bhagavad Gita, the glory which has been sung for that centrifugal point of all affluence, is written in Akshara. These aspects, if not rightly understood, then the science will merely confined to philosophy. Now it is time for us to stretch beyond philosophy. One may appreciate philosophical conclusions, one may not be able to easily experience them, accommodate them in one's own life. But when it becomes science, one has to accommodate. As I was watching a video yesterday of a gentleman, I am not able to give you the name today, I'll give you next time, it's there in my record in my TED library. It says that 6 plants grown in a bottle in a closed air-conditioned room can enhance the levels of oxygen exorbitantly in such an environment. And they've been able to successfully do the same in one of the buildings in New Delhi, which has been